The sun was setting behind the dusty hills as Captain Rafe Morgan rode his motorcycle down the empty highway. The sky turned orange and purple, and the warm desert air felt calm after a long day. Rafe had been traveling for hours. His black bike hummed steadily beneath him. He wore a plain green jacket and dark jeans. His face was calm but tired. Ahead, a small gas station came into view. It looked old and quiet, with flickering neon lights and a single pump out front. The station stood alone on the edge of a tiny town. Rafe slowed his bike and pulled in. He needed to fill the tank before nightfall. The gas station smelled like oil and warm metal. Inside, a few shelves held snacks and drinks. A man in his 50s stood behind the counter. He had a friendly but tired smile. When Rafe walked in, the man nodded and said, "Evening, need some gas?" Rafe nodded and took a few bills out of his wallet. "Just a full tank, please." Outside, the sound of loud motorcycles echoed through the air. Rafe looked up and saw a group of 5 bikers arriving. They wore leather jackets and heavy boots. Their faces were rough and weathered. One of them had bright red hair that shone in the last light of day. The bikers pulled up next to the gas pump and started shouting at the attendant. "Hurry up," the red-haired man said. His voice was loud and rough. The others laughed and talked loudly, making the small station feel crowded and tense. Rafe finished paying and stepped outside. He was filling his tank when one of the bikers came over. The man was tall and wore dark sunglasses, even though the sun was going down. He looked Rafe up and down and smiled in a way that was not friendly. "Nice bike," the man said. "What brings you out here all alone?" Rafe kept his voice calm. "Just passing through." The biker laughed and said, "You look like you could use some company." He took a step closer and tapped the tank of Rafe's motorcycle. Rafe did not react. He kept filling his tank slowly. The biker's smile faded. "Hey, you hear me?" Before Rafe could answer, the red-haired biker joined them. "What's your problem, man? Why so quiet?" The group circled around Rafe. Their voices grew louder, and their laughter turned meaner. One of them grabbed the handle of Rafe's bag that hung from the bike. Rafe looked up calmly and said, "Please do not touch my things." The biker laughed again and pulled the bag. It did not move easily. "What's in here? Lead bricks?" he joked. Rafe's eyes stayed steady. "That bag is mine. Leave it alone." The gas station attendant watched nervously. He could tell something was about to happen. The biker pulled harder on the bag, and it did not budge. He frowned and let go. "Heavy, huh? I like that." The leader, the man with sunglasses, stepped forward. "You're pretty quiet for a tough guy. Why don't you show us what you got?" Rafe finished filling the tank and stood up straight. His calm voice held a strange strength. "I suggest you leave before this gets worse." The bikers laughed again, but took one step back. The leader's smile became sharper. "Or what? You'll make us?" Rafe reached down and picked up his bag carefully. It was heavier than it looked. He put it over his shoulder with ease. The leader looked around at his friends. "Come on, let's see what this quiet guy can do." Suddenly, the mood changed. The bikers moved faster, surrounding Rafe like wolves, but Rafe was ready. Before any of them could reach him, he stepped forward quickly and grabbed the wrench one biker had pulled from his bike. He turned it in his hand and let it drop to the ground. The bikers stopped, surprised. Rafe's calm eyes scanned the group. "This is your last chance. Walk away." The leader laughed, but said nothing. The bikers closed in again. The gas station attendant watched, holding his breath. He saw the strength and skill in Rafe's movements. This was not an ordinary man. The first biker swung his fist, but Rafe moved faster. He stepped aside and used a quick move to push the man off balance. The fight had begun. Rafe did not want to hurt anyone, but he was trained for situations like this. He moved with precision, using the skills he had learned in battles far from Earth. The bikers tried to fight back, but Rafe was always one step ahead. Every punch and kick was blocked or dodged. The quiet soldier fought not with anger but with control and purpose. One by one, the bikers fell to the ground, panting and shocked. The leader looked at Rafe with new respect. Rafe stood tall, breathing, steady. He looked down at the last man on the ground and said, "You should think twice before you mess with someone you don't know." The bikers slowly got up and helped each other. They did not say a word. The gas station was silent except for their heavy breaths. Rafe picked up his bag again and turned to the attendant. "Thank you for your patience." The attendant nodded. "You handled that well?" "Not many could do what you did." Rafe smiled lightly. "Sometimes it's better to avoid trouble, but when it finds you, you have to be ready." Rafe mounted his motorcycle. The sun had almost disappeared, and the night was cool and still. He started the engine and looked back once. The bikers were watching him, quiet now. The gas station lights flickered as Rafe rode away down the highway. Tonight the soldier had come looking for peace. But trouble had found him, and he had shown why no one should ever mess with the wrong soldier. The night had settled deep over the desert road, and the small town's gas station was quiet again. Captain Rafe Morgan rode his motorcycle steadily through the darkness. The stars shone bright above, and the cool wind whispered softly past his helmet. After the encounter at the gas station, Rafe's mind was calm, but he knew the night was far from over. Far behind him, the group of bikers gathered under the flickering lights. Their leader, the man with dark sunglasses, stared after. Rafe's fading taillight. His face was hard, a mix of anger and respect. He had never met anyone like this quiet soldier before. The bikers had always been tough in their town, but none of them moved with the speed and control Rafe had shown. The leader spoke low. "We don't forget people who humiliate us. We need to find out who this man really is." Back on the road, Rafe kept a steady pace. He was not running from the bikers, but he could feel their anger like a shadow behind him. His mission was more important than any fight here, but he had learned long ago to be ready for trouble anywhere. The desert stretched around him, silent and wide, with no one else in sight. As he rode, Rafe thought about what had happened. The bikers had been foolish to challenge him, but he understood their pride. Sometimes people needed to be reminded of their limits. The soldier's training had taught him to stay calm under pressure and to protect himself without unnecessary violence. He hoped that lesson would stick with the bikers. A few miles ahead, a small diner appeared, its neon sign flickering like the gas stations. Rafe decided to stop for a quick meal and a break. He pulled into the parking lot and took off his helmet. The cool air felt good on his face after the warm ride. Inside, the diner was quiet but cozy. A few late-night customers sat at the counter. The waitress smiled as she approached. "Evening. What can I get you?" she asked. Rafe smiled back. "Just coffee and a sandwich, please." As the waitress walked away, Rafe sat by the window and watched the dark road outside. His eyes scanned the horizon carefully. The desert was beautiful but could hide danger easily. The bikers were probably still behind him, but he was not afraid. He was trained for this. Suddenly, the diner's door opened with a soft jingle. A man in a leather jacket stepped inside and looked around. It was one of the bikers from the gas station, the youngest one with a nervous look on his face. He saw Rafe sitting by the window and froze. The waitress noticed him but did not say anything. The biker walked slowly to the counter and ordered a drink. He kept glancing at Rafe as if trying to decide what to do next. Rafe noticed the man but did not react. He knew the bikers were angry, but he was not interested in a fight here. He simply sipped his coffee and stayed calm. After a few minutes, the biker finished his drink and left the diner quickly. Outside, he pulled out his phone and dialed a number. His voice was low but urgent. "We need to talk. That soldier is not just a stranger. He is something else." Back inside, the waitress brought Rafe's sandwich. "On the house," she said softly. You looked like you could use it." Rafe nodded and thanked her. Her kindness surprised him. In a place like this, people were often quick to judge travelers, but she had seen something different. As Rafe ate, he thought about his next steps. He could not stay in one place too long. His mission required him to reach a nearby military outpost by morning. But first, he needed rest. Outside the diner, the biker met with the rest of his group. The leader was already waiting, his face serious. "We need a plan," the leader said. "This man humiliated us. He fought like a soldier from another world. We have to be smart." One biker spoke up. "We could wait for him on the highway. He will have to pass by again." The leader shook his head. "No, we need to find out who he is first. Maybe he is more dangerous than we think." The youngest biker added, "I think he is from the Earth Defense Force. I heard stories about soldiers like him. They are trained to fight in space and on other planets." The leader frowned. "Then we have to be very careful. This is not just a fight anymore." Meanwhile, Rafe finished his meal and paid quietly. He thanked the waitress again and stepped outside. The night air was cool and quiet. He started his bike and looked down the road. The desert stretched out like a dark ocean. The stars were bright and still. Rafe's heart was steady. He felt ready for whatever came next. As he rode away from the diner, a small shadow moved near, the edge of the parking lot. The youngest biker watched him leave, his eyes filled with a mix of fear and respect. The night was full of silence, but soon new challenges would rise. Rafe knew this was only the beginning. The desert night was deep and still as Captain Rafe Morgan rode his motorcycle down the long highway. His black bike hummed smoothly under him. The stars above were bright and countless. Rafe's thoughts were calm but focused. He knew the bikers. Behind him were angry, but he also knew that rushing into trouble was never smart. Patience was part of a soldier's training. Far behind on the road, the group of bikers waited. The leader's face was tense and serious. They could not forget what had happened at the gas station. Their pride was hurt, and they wanted answers. The leader spoke in a low voice. "We need to find out more about this man. He is not like any soldier we have ever met. Let's split up and search the towns nearby." The bikers nodded and took different routes on their motorcycles. The desert was wide and dark, but their engines roared loudly in the silence. The youngest biker still felt nervous. He kept thinking about Rafe's calm strength. "He is not just a man," he said quietly. "He is something more." Rafe continued riding through the night. The road twisted and stretched ahead, a ribbon of black through the desert. His mind was on the mission waiting for him at the military outpost. He had to deliver important information, and every minute counted. Suddenly, a light flickered in the distance. Rafe slowed down as he approached a small bridge crossing a dry riverbed. Under the dim light of a broken street lamp, a figure stood in the middle of the road, waving a flashlight. Rafe stopped a few meters away and turned off his engine. The figure was a man, wearing a jacket covered in patches and badges. His face was worn, and his eyes were sharp. "Need help?" Rafe asked calmly. The man nodded. "My bike broke down a few miles back. Can you give me a lift to the next town?" Rafe looked at him carefully. The man did not seem dangerous. "Where is the next town?" "About 20 miles that way." The man pointed down the road. Rafe thought for a moment. Helping others was part of his nature. "Hop on. I will take you there." The man climbed on behind Rafe. As they rode, he introduced himself as Jake. He told stories about the desert and the small towns along the highway. Rafe listened quietly but stayed alert. After a few minutes, Jake asked, "You look like someone who knows how to handle a bike well. You from around here?" Rafe smiled slightly. "No, I travel a lot. I'm a soldier." Jake looked surprised. "A soldier? Around here? What kind of soldier?" Rafe chose his words carefully. "I work with the Earth Defense Force. We protect people from dangers, sometimes far from Earth." Jake whistled softly. That sounds like some serious work. Ever been in a fight? Rafe nodded. More times than I can count. As they neared the next town, a sudden noise caught Rafe's attention. The sound of motorcycles approaching fast from behind. Rafe glanced in his mirror. It was the group of bikers. Jake tensed up. Those guys again? They following you? Rafe nodded. It seems so. The bikers rode close, their engines loud in the quiet night. The leader signaled and slowed his group to match Rafe's speed. Rafe pulled to the side of the road. The bikers stopped behind him, blocking the way. The leader stepped off his bike and looked at Rafe with a cold smile. You think you can just ride through our land without answering for what happened? Rafe looked at him calmly. I do not want trouble. But I will defend myself if I must. The leader laughed. You've already shown what you can do. But now we want to know who you really are. Who sent you here? Rafe's eyes narrowed. I answer to no one here. I have my mission, and it is important. Jake watched nervously from behind Rafe. The tension was thick in the air. The desert wind was still, as if waiting for what would happen next. The leader took a step closer and said, We do not trust strangers, especially soldiers who come through without warning. Tell us why you're here or face the consequences. Rafe's voice was steady. I am here to protect lives. If you want to fight, I will not hold back. But I would rather avoid violence. The leader smirked. Your words are brave, but your actions at the gas station were stronger. You showed us you are not to be underestimated. One biker behind the leader nodded. Maybe we should listen instead of fight. The leader paused and looked at his friends. Then he turned back to Rafe. All right, soldier, tell us what your mission is. If it helps us, maybe we can all walk away from this. Rafe looked at the group and decided to be honest but careful. There is a threat to this region. Something more dangerous than any fight we had before. I am traveling to the military outpost to deliver information that could save many lives. The bikers looked at each other, surprise and doubt mixing in their faces. Jake spoke up. If what you say is true, then maybe we should help. This desert is not safe for anyone alone. The leader sighed. Fine. But if you lie, you will regret it. Rafe nodded. I do not lie. The bikers moved their bikes to the side and opened a path. Rafe started his motorcycle and waited for Jake to climb on again. The leader called out, We will ride with you for a while. Make sure you get where you need to go. Rafe agreed. Together, the group rode into the night. The sound of their engines filled the quiet desert as they moved forward. Rafe felt a small hope that maybe this night's journey would end in peace. But deep down, he knew the road ahead would test all of them in ways none had imagined. The desert night stretched endlessly as Captain Rafe Morgan rode alongside the group of bikers. The moon hung high above, casting a pale light on the dusty road. The quiet hum of engines blended with the soft wind. Rafe kept his eyes on the path ahead, but also noticed the riders beside him. They rode with caution now, respect slowly growing where anger had once lived. The leader of the group, the man with dark sunglasses, kept his bike close to Rafe's. His face was serious but less hostile. So, soldier, he said, breaking the silence. You say you have important information for the military outpost. What kind of threat are we talking about? Rafe glanced at him. It's a threat to everyone in this region, not just soldiers or townspeople. Something that could change the balance of safety here. I cannot say more until I deliver my message. The leader nodded slowly. Fair enough. We do not want trouble, but we will protect our home. As they continued, the youngest biker, Jake, spoke quietly to Rafe. You fight like you've been in battles far beyond this desert. Where do you come from? Rafe smiled faintly. I have served in places you can only imagine. Space stations, distant planets, fighting threats no one else can face. Jake's eyes widened. That sounds like science fiction. It is real, Rafe said. The universe is bigger and stranger than most people know. The other bikers listened silently, their curiosity mixed with awe. For a moment, the desert felt smaller and the world wider. Suddenly, the sound of engines changed. Up ahead, the group spotted a thick cloud of dust rising from the side of the road. The leader signaled the others to slow down. Rafe's heart quickened. "What is that?" A short distance away, a group of armed men waited near a makeshift camp. They were strangers, rough and ready, blocking the highway. Their weapons glinted in the moonlight. The leader whispered, "These are bandits. They have been troubling travelers for weeks." Rafe nodded. "We cannot let them stop us. They could be the threat I warned about." The bikers prepared to face the danger. Their faces were set with determination. The bandits stepped forward, shouting demands. "Hand over your bikes and your weapons! No one passes!" Rafe spoke calmly but firmly. "We are not looking for trouble, but we will protect ourselves." The bull, leader of the bandits, laughed. "Then prepare to lose everything." Without warning, the bandits charged. Rafe moved first. Years of training showed in his swift actions. He disarmed one attacker before he could raise his weapon. The bikers joined the fight, using skill and teamwork. The desert night echoed with the sounds of the battle. Dust rose in clouds as the two groups clashed. Rafe fought carefully. He did not want to hurt anyone more than necessary. His goal was to stop the bandits without unnecessary harm. One bandit swung a heavy club, but Rafe dodged and used the man's own strength against him. Another charged with a knife, but Rafe blocked and took the weapon away. The bikers proved to be skilled fighters, too. They worked together to protect Rafe and push the bandits back. Slowly, the bandits began to retreat. Their numbers were no match for the soldier and the bikers united. After the last bandit fled into the darkness, the bikers caught their breath. The leader looked at Rafe with new respect. "You were right. This threat is real." Rafe nodded. "There may be more ahead. We must be ready." Jake smiled, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I never thought I would fight alongside a soldier like you." Rafe smiled back. "Sometimes, unexpected friends make the strongest teams." The group checked their gear and mounted their bikes again. The road was still long, but their spirits were stronger. As they rode away from the fight, the desert night seemed less lonely. The bikers and the soldier shared a silent understanding. They were different people from different worlds, but for now, they were united by a common cause. The leader spoke again. "Where are you headed now?" Rafe answered. "The military outpost is just over the next mountain pass. I must deliver this message before dawn." The leader nodded. "We will ride with you until then." Together, they rode into the cool desert night, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. The sun had not yet risen as Captain Rafe Morgan and the group of bikers crested the mountain pass. The early morning air was cool and fresh, carrying the scent of dry earth and distant pine. The highway stretched ahead, winding down toward the military outpost that Rafe needed to reach. Rafe rode steadily, the black motorcycle humming smoothly beneath him. Behind him, the bikers followed quietly, the night's fight still fresh in their minds. The desert had tested them, but now something else awaited at the outpost, a mission that could change everything. The leader of the bikers, dark sunglasses, pushed onto his head now that the sun was rising, broke the silence. "We have never met a soldier like you before. You fight with skill and honor. You make us question what we thought we knew about strength." Rafe smiled faintly. "Strength is more than power. It is about control and purpose. Fighting without reason only leads to loss." Jake, the youngest biker, nodded eagerly. "You've taught us something tonight. We'll never forget it." As the first light of dawn touched the horizon, the military outpost came into view. It was a small complex of buildings surrounded by fences and guarded towers. Soldiers in uniform moved calmly about, preparing for the day ahead. Rafe felt a sense of relief. He had traveled far and faced danger, but now he was close to completing his mission. The bikers slowed as they approached the checkpoint. A guard raised his hand to stop them. When he saw Rafe, his eyes widened with recognition. "Captain Morgan, we have been expecting you," the guard said. He waved them through quickly. Inside the outpost, Rafe was led to a command center where senior officers waited. He handed over a sealed data device and began to explain. "There is an unknown force moving toward this region," Rafe said. "Its technology is advanced, and its intentions are unclear. This data contains intelligence that could help us prepare." The officers listened closely, their faces serious. One of them asked, "How much time do we have?" Rafe looked at the clock. "Not much. We must act quickly." While Rafe briefed the officers, the bikers waited outside. Jake looked around the camp with interest. "This place is different from anything I have seen," he said. "It feels safe, but ready for war." The leader nodded. "It is the front line for Earth's defense. People like Captain Morgan work here to protect all of us." Jake smiled. "I wish I could be part of something like this." The leader put a hand on Jake's shoulder. "You already showed courage tonight. That is the first step." Back in the command center, Rafe finished his report. The officers discussed plans to strengthen their defenses and send out patrols. Time was short, but they had new hope. One officer turned to Rafe. "Your fight with the bandits and your ride with those bikers showed us something important. We need all kinds of people working together." Rafe agreed. "Unity is the strongest defense." After the meeting, Rafe stepped outside into the cool morning air. The sun was rising, casting golden light over the outpost. The bikers approached him, ready to say goodbye. "Thank you for letting us ride with you," Jake said. "You changed how we see things." The leader nodded. "You earned our respect. Wherever your journey takes you, know you have friends here." Rafe smiled warmly. "And you have taught me that even in the hardest places, friendship can grow." As the bikers rode away down the highway, Rafe prepared to continue his mission. The road ahead was uncertain, but his resolve was strong. The desert wind whispered through the trees as the sun climbed higher. The soldier knew that his fight was not over. Danger still waited in the shadows, and he would be ready. For now, though, he allowed himself a moment of peace. The quiet strength of the bikers reminded him why he fought. To protect not just one place, but all places where people lived and hoped. Rafe mounted his motorcycle and rode toward the future. Whatever came next, he would face it with courage and honor. The sun was high now, shining bright over the military outpost. Captain Rafe Morgan stood by his motorcycle, feeling the warmth on his skin. The morning had brought new hope, but it had also brought new challenges. The intelligence he delivered was only the start of what needed to be done. Inside the command center, officers were busy planning defenses and preparing teams for patrols. Rafe watched as people moved with purpose. Every second counted. The unknown threat was moving closer, and the outpost had to be ready. Rafe's thoughts drifted back to the bikers. They had become unlikely allies, proving that strength and courage could come from many places. He hoped their lesson of unity would spread beyond this desert road. Suddenly, the calm was broken by a sharp alert from the command center's radar. A large object was detected moving quickly toward the outpost. The officers and soldiers immediately sprang into action. Rafe was called to the operations room. Screens showed a bright shape approaching through the desert sky. It was unlike anything the soldiers had seen before. The object was not just a plane or missile, it was something more advanced. The lead officer spoke urgently. "This is the threat you warned us about. It is coming fast." Rafe nodded. "We must prepare to defend the outpost and gather more information." Outside, the soldiers moved to their stations. The bikers, still near the entrance, watched with wide eyes. They could see the seriousness of the situation now. Jake turned to the leader. "This is bigger than anything we imagined." The leader's face was grim. "We'll stand ready. We fight for this land." Rafe approached them. "Your help has already made a difference." "Thank you for standing with us," the leader nodded. "We are with you, soldier." Back in the operations room, Rafe worked closely with the officers. Plans were made to send a team to scout the area where the object was expected to land. Rafe volunteered to lead the team. "We need to know what we face before it reaches the outpost," he said. The officers agreed. They prepared vehicles and supplies quickly. Rafe gathered his gear and checked his weapons. His calm and focus inspired the team. As the scout team set out, Rafe thought about the coming battle. He knew the strength of the enemy was unknown, but he trusted in his training and his new allies. The desert stretched ahead, harsh and unforgiving. The sun beat down, but the team moved steadily. They knew that every step brought them closer to danger. After several hours, the team reached the area where the object was expected to land. The landscape was still and silent. Suddenly, the ground shook slightly, and a bright light appeared in the sky. The object descended quickly, landing with a soft thud on the sand. It was a sleek, metallic craft. Unlike any vehicle they had seen, Rafe and his team approached carefully. The air was tense, and every sound seemed louder in the quiet desert. Suddenly, the craft's door opened, and figures stepped out. They wore suits that glowed faintly and moved with calm precision. Rafe raised his hand in greeting. "We come in peace." One of the figures spoke in clear, calm English. "We mean no harm. We seek to warn you." Rafe listened closely as they explained that their people had detected a dangerous force heading toward Earth. They had come to help protect the planet. The team exchanged looks. This was the beginning of a new alliance, one that could change everything. As the sun began to set, Rafe and the scout team returned to the outpost with the visitors. The soldiers greeted them with cautious hope. The day had been long and full of challenges, but Rafe felt a quiet strength growing inside him. Together with new friends, he was ready to face whatever came next. The night was calm over the military outpost, but the air was filled with quiet tension. Captain Rafe Morgan stood near the command center, watching the stars above. The visitors from the distant stars had joined forces with Earth's defenders. The alliance was new, but it gave hope. Rafe thought back to the night at the gas station when a group of bikers had challenged him. That night had changed everything. The bikers had become allies, standing strong beside him through danger. It showed Rafe that courage could come from unexpected places. Inside the command center, officers prepared for the coming battle. The unknown threat was approaching faster now. Rafe reviewed the plans carefully. Defense teams were ready, weapons checked, and supplies stocked. The new visitors shared their technology and knowledge, helping to strengthen Earth's defenses. Rafe knew the fight would not be easy. But he trusted in the strength of the people around him. Suddenly, alarms rang through the outpost. Lights flashed red. The threat was here. Rafe and the soldiers moved quickly to their stations. Outside, the desert air was filled with the sound of engines and weapons charging. The sky lit up as strange ships appeared over the horizon. They moved fast and silently, their shapes unfamiliar and frightening. Rafe climbed onto a command vehicle. His voice was steady as he spoke into the radio. "Hold your positions, stay alert, protect the outpost." The bikers were near, ready to fight alongside the soldiers. Jake gripped his weapon tightly, his eyes bright with determination. "We will not let them take our home," the leader said. "We fight as one." The battle began. The strange ships fired beams of light that cut through the desert night. The soldiers returned fire with everything they had. Rafe moved quickly, directing the defense and helping where he could. His training and calm under pressure inspired those around him. The bikers fought bravely, protecting key positions and supporting the soldiers. The visitors used their advanced technology to create shields that blocked many attacks. Their knowledge helped turn the tide. Despite the danger, the defenders held strong. The outpost was a symbol of hope and unity. Rafe saw the faces of the soldiers and bikers fighting side by side. He felt proud and hopeful. Hours passed as the battle raged. Slowly, the strange ships began to retreat. Their attack had failed. Rafe and the soldiers cheered quietly, but did not lower their guard. The visitors spoke calmly. "This is only the beginning. More threats may come, but together." "We will stand," Rafe nodded. "We will be ready." As dawn broke over the desert, the battle ended. The outpost stood strong. The soldiers and bikers were tired but victorious. Rafe looked out at the horizon. The desert was quiet once again. He thought about the journey that had brought him here, the quiet soldier at a gas station, the angry bikers, the unexpected friendship, and now a fight to protect the future. Rafe smiled softly. No one should ever underestimate the power of courage and unity. The bikers gathered around him. Jake grinned. "You showed us a better way." The leader nodded. "We will never forget." Together they watched the sun rise. A new day was beginning. The future was uncertain, but they would face it together.